How you doing, Team Up? Hard News and Murdoch. Now, the reason for the format change today is because the election is still undecided at this point, as you can see on the screen down below. So what I decided to do, being that we're living in the United States of anxiety right about now, at least that's how my homegirl Casey put it, I decided to show you why Biden has an edge when it comes to this and the reason why it's been such a change in the polls as it's been progressing. Now, as you can see here, Biden has 264 to Trump's 214, okay? And the reason for this is because of all the mail-in ballots that's coming in due to COVID-19. And all those ballots is going straight to the cities and these states. Now let's give you an example of exactly what I mean. Let's take an example of my hometown, New York, okay? New York is blue, and everybody knows that. But if you was to actually bring up New York in scale, you would see exactly how much red is in New York. So a lot of people be questioning themselves, why is New York blue then? Well, that's because if you was to look at the major population where they live in the city right here, you can see clearly that it's 270,000 votes over here, 412, and so on, 514 over here. And then you have another 370. So regardless of what another 270 here in Westchester, and regardless of what these other counties do over here, it doesn't matter what the cities say pretty much go because they got the most heavily dense population. So that pretty much applies everywhere. Let's say like we go to Michigan where it was the surprise flip for Joe Biden. But it shouldn't have been a surprise because all these red states that's here, and the thing that made it turn blue was Detroit, because this is the heaviest population here. Also, you got Oakland County as well as another heavily populated area, and any place else that you see blue. But because of the fact Detroit was so heavy and all these places were counted, Detroit flipped the state on its own because of the heavy population. Now, as you can see, and you've been hearing, you know that people are saying that it's a strong chance that Biden would take Pennsylvania and would take Georgia. And as of now, as you can see, they're tied at a 49.4% each, with less than 1,000 votes actually splitting them at this point. And it's still 99% of the thing. What did this here? If you was to click on Georgia, even though it's leaning blue now, it was just red, light red, just like North Carolina here. But as you can see here, if you click on it, you see all this red all over here. But you're wondering how in the world is it possible for them to flip? Of course, Atlanta. They got a heavy population here, and the amount of votes that came in from Atlanta offset all the rest of the small counties. As you can see here, they only got 14,000 votes, 13,000 votes, 12,000 votes. And you see here, 305,000 votes. Over here, another 373,000 votes. So that is what's doing this here and giving Biden this edge. Ooh, another 221 votes over here. That I didn't look over here at Cobb County before. That's pretty remarkable. And they're still counting votes. So not saying that it's over, but that's the reason why Biden got an edge over here. Now, to be honest with you, on top of that, this was at one point a 10-point lead in Trump's favor. Okay, at one point. This was a 10-point lead in Trump's favor. But looking at how the votes must be being counted, there's a huge surge, at least a 69% surge for Joe Biden in these states. And that's the reason why you're seeing such this explosion right about now when it comes to the mail-in ballots, okay? I'm not going to do much editing here. You're going to pretty much hear me stumble all over the place. Whatever. We're just going with this. Roll with me for a little bit here, okay? Now, North Carolina, there's no chance of Joe Biden winning this. It's still 2% points between him and Donald Trump. It's 94% counted. And if you go into here, there's not enough power in Charlotte and Ray County for it to be actually a flip of any kind here. So North Carolina is lost. Don't worry about that. But here goes the real interesting part. Pennsylvania at one point was up by 14 points for Trump, all right? It's still leaning red, okay? But when you click in it, when you take a look, now it's actually tied almost by less than a 0.3 percentage points, which is pretty ridiculous judging by like about 12, 13 hours ago, they was pretty much, Trump was still up by at least by 2 points. But if you click on it, you can see all these states, once again, all these states being counted. You got 21,000 votes here, 48,000 votes here, 105 votes over here. But when you go over to Philadelphia, 526, 313, 177, and the list goes on and on and on in all the suburban areas where it's mostly dense and has the most highest population count of the state. And that's the reason why you're seeing this. Look over here in Pittsburgh. You got 396,000 votes over here in favor of Biden. And you go over here, not much, not much. Oh, only 6,000 votes here. What is this, like about 8,000 votes total, and they counted 92%. So really nobody live over here in Fulton County in PA over here. It's not too populated. And that's what's causing this. Now, if you keep this wave going and you apply that same 69% favor for Joe Biden, which is the reason why he closed such a large gap here, that is the reason why you're seeing this flip, okay? Now, let's take it over here to the West Coast, okay? Now, people are pretty surprised at this flip over here, Arizona. I'm not really, because one of the things that's happened as of the last couple of years, there's been a lot of California exports going over to Nevada and Arizona because of the wildfires. A lot of people moved into these particular states. So when you click in on Arizona, people worried about it flipping. I say don't worry about it flipping, because a lot of these people from here all moved to Phoenix and Tucson. And as you can see here, Tucson, Arizona got a lot of votes, got the majority of the votes. And Phoenix almost got 1 million plus votes, and it's like a, what is this, 4-point lead in favor of Biden pretty much at this point. So as long as Phoenix hold, which it is, and Tucson's already counted, these little counties over here do not have enough firepower to upset the votes coming out of Phoenix, and that's the reason why Arizona is going to hold, at least I feel. Mind you, take all this with a grain of salt. Well, not so much as a grain of salt, but don't be too confident in this, because it could flip. I don't want nobody to be like, oh yeah, he got this, and then all of a sudden things change and you completely crush. I'm just telling you the reason why I'm confident, and the reason why you should have a little bit more confidence in what's going on if you're a Biden supporter. If you're a Trump supporter and you're watching this, it's probably giving you even more anxiety than what you probably had a few minutes ago, all right? But most likely, if you're a Trump supporter, you probably was already having major anxiety issues as you was watching the states flip in favor of the opponent. But let's get back to the report, okay? The one place that a lot of people are worried about is Nevada possibly flipping in favor of Trump, because it's only by a point. But once again, if you apply the same thing that applied to Georgia, that applied to Philadelphia, okay? Pennsylvania, you will see that the same metrics apply. That if you jump in, a lot of people from California moved into Reno and Las Vegas. And if you look at the population count throughout this entire state, you will see that Las Vegas is holding the strongest for Biden over here, which Biden up like about, what is that, like about 8 points? That's pretty crazy. So Trump have no way of catching Biden in Las Vegas when it comes to this election right about now. Now, if you look at the other places, you'll see that, oh, they ain't count all these other states out here, and it's 84% counted. But if you was to look at the population, you got like 2,000 people living here in Lincoln County. You have 15,000, you know what I'm saying, roughly, what is that, like about 20,000 votes over here between Trump and Biden total. And then look over here, you got less than 500 people, and it's 80% reporting in this little county. And the reason for that is, if you ever visit Nevada, a lot of these places out here is desert, and not too many people live out here in this particular area. Mostly people that lives in Nevada lives in Reno. And if you look over here, Reno got 123,000 votes, and Biden is up by 4 percentage points here. Once again, the same thing applies, okay? And that's the reason why I personally don't believe that Nevada is going to flip in favor of Trump. Now, when you add all this up, pretty much, if Biden wins Georgia, the election is over. There's no way for Trump to actually get any points, even if he wins Philadelphia and North Carolina. It's not going to make a difference, because as you can see, Trump is too far behind at 214 for him to be able to count, for him to be able to catch up at this point. So don't worry. That's pretty much all of this for this video. It's just pretty much a cap of everything that's going on. I just wanted people to get some information out there, because there's not too many news media, or at least mainstream news media, that's really going to the meat and potatoes of how the election process works. And understand, that the black vote right about now is going crazy out there. So if anybody ever tell you don't worry about voting or that your vote don't count, 2020 elections is proof that it does, okay? It is very important that we go out there and vote. I'm going to leave you with this quote from Malcolm X that I love, because a lot of people love this man, but nobody never listened to anything that he had to say except for the parts that they like. And with that, I'm out. Remember, the revolution is unclassified. Later.
To organize a core of brothers and sisters who, after the city is mapped out, they won't leave one apartment house door not knocked on. There won't be a door in Harlem that will not have been knocked on, to see that whatever black face lives behind that door is registered to vote by a certain time this year. Nobody will have an excuse not to be registered. We'll ask him, let us see your card. If you don't have the sense of responsibility to get registered, we'll move you out of town.